It was supposed to be a day of love, but instead, it ended in terror. And the monster didn't come through the door, he was already inside the house. The sun rose gently over Beaumont, Texas, on February 14, 2019. The sky was unusually quiet for a Thursday morning, brushing pink over a city that was beginning to stir with Valentine's Day routines, flowers, texts, chocolates, and maybe a little regret. But on a quiet residential street, in a modest home tucked behind manicured hedges, something was already wrong. Inside the house, a woman named Olivia Jones would never live to see that sunrise. She was 38. A mother of 2. A businesswoman. A daughter. And, most recently, a wife again. Olivia had always stood out, radiant smile, razor-sharp ambition, and a warmth that made people feel seen. She'd built her name in tax services, working hard, staying honest, and lifting herself up after life had knocked her down more than once. After a painful divorce years earlier, she'd started over, emotionally, financially, spiritually. She was finally healing. And maybe, just maybe, she was learning to love again. That's when Christopher Ray Jones entered the picture. He wasn't flashy. Didn't need to be. A corrections officer with a calm voice and a rigid sense of order, the kind of man who commanded respect quietly. Her family was relieved. After everything she'd endured, Olivia deserved someone stable. But stability has a darker side when it turns into control. From the outside, their relationship looked tidy. Respectable. But behind the closed doors of their home, Olivia's world was quietly shrinking. Christopher didn't like surprises. He didn't like visitors. He didn't like her making decisions without him. And slowly, almost invisibly, the confident, outspoken woman who once thrived in business and family life began to pull back. Olivia's sister, Brittany, remembered her voice changing. Like she was measuring every word, she said. Always cautious. Always checking to make sure she wouldn't set him off. But abuse doesn't always come with bruises. Sometimes, it comes with rules. Expectations. Surveillance cameras. Silence. And on Valentine's Day, it came with a gun. At 6:15 a.m., a 911 call pierced the stillness of Beaumont. Christopher's voice was frantic. "My wife's been shot," he said.
Beaumont 911, what is the address of your emergency?
Olivia! Please, hurry. Someone take the gun.
Tell me what's going on.
I'm at home. My wife been shot in the head. Please.
Somebody shot in the head.
My wife, please.
Tell me,
Okay.
Where is she shot?
In the head.
Okay, where in the head?
Take it and it went off.
Okay. I want you to try to control the bleeding.
As soon as the call disconnected, officers headed on their way to the Beaumont, Texas home of Chris and Olivia, located at 5575 Pine Bur Boulevard. At 8:55 a.m., they arrived. Olivia was found face down with a gunshot wound to the back of her head. Astonishingly, she was still breathing. When the officers rolled her over, they discovered that the bullet had pierced through her right eye. The room she was found in was covered in blood, with spatter all over the walls.
I say, we've been doing this. My 19-year-old stepdaughter was 8. My 11-year-old was 1. I say, Olivia, we can't get it together. We can't be together. Okay. We got several bleeds. And I say, I just want a divorce. And her reaction was, she got the gun? I said, give me the gun. She like, I don't remember which hand. I'm like, give me that gun. What is you doing? Stop trying to scare me. I took it.
So when you grabbed it, went off?
She yanked. I grabbed it and she yanked back. And the gun went off.
Okay.
The gun went off.
It was
Chris's
supposed
story
to be a day of
immediately
love,
set off red
but
flags.
instead,
How could
it
such a
ended in
large
terror.
man be overpowered by his significantly smaller wife? Chris dropped to his knees in anguish, but there were no tears as he asked Officer Butler if he could go check on Officer Butler. Back inside the home, Olivia's wounds proved to be fatal, and just after 9 a.m., she was pronounced dead. Officers searched the rest of the home and noticed that in addition to the surveillance cameras installed on the exterior of the house, there were 2 more during the interior of the house as well. They also discovered the gun that Olivia was shot with, a 9mm pistol covered in blood. However, they found it strange that the gun was in a different room from where the shooting took place. If Olivia was holding the gun when it went off, how did it end up in a different room? The only logical answer was that Chris must have moved it. Following this discovery, the officers decided that the best course of action was to detain Chris until they had all of the evidence was collected and sent to the crime lab. Chris was brought down to the station where they took photos of his hands still covered in blood.
They're waiting for the lead detectives. They're going to be the ones that actually interview. So
when the detectives finally arrived at the station, they started Chris's interview by asking him what caused the argument. He said that he felt as if Olivia wasn't pulling her weight in the relationship.
I am very particular. If you heard that, that's true. I am very particular.
You strive for the best for people.
I work really hard, and I don't make excuses for myself, and I don't accept excuses for anybody else.
After telling her that he wanted a divorce, she went to the bedroom and grabbed the gun.
what did you say?
Really? You serious? Really? This is not going to solve anything.
Okay.
You know, you do not want to do that. Put that freaking gun down before you make a mistake and hurt yourself. She was crying. She was crying.
Chris handed over his cell phone, which had access to the home security camera footage.
Say you want to access just that camera. You touch that. And that's just that camera. Okay. You follow what I'm saying?
So far, let's go back to devices.
Yes, sir. And everything is labeled.
Carport, backyard, front door, back door, laundry room, inside garage, living room, kitchen.
The police examined this footage, hoping to corroborate Chris's story. At 8:41 a.m., Olivia can be seen going about her morning routine in the kitchen. Then, all of a sudden, the footage cuts out. 3 minutes later, at 8:44 a.m., the video is back up, and Chris is captured frantically pacing around the house while on the phone with 911. 11 minutes later, at 8:55 a.m., the responding officers can be seen entering the residence. That means that Olivia must have been shot during this 3-minute gap in the footage. In the interrogation,
Why would there be no recordings on that? I don't know. It should be. Everybody that went in that house should be on it. But like I said, the internet, you can go through days and it pretty much does it. We shouldn't have bought that. You just keep, you can pick whatever day you want and it's never going to be consistent. That's why I said it was a waste of money.
Well, I'm wanting desperately to find some video on here that corroborates what you're telling us, but almost all the videos start right after this event happened.
Chris had a bunch of excuses, from internet problems to not charging the camera properly. But at this point, the detectives were taking anything Chris said with a grain of salt. It seemed more likely that Chris, the only one with access to the footage, had tampered with it. Since they did not have the video, they had Chris reenact the moment that he tried.
I twisted.
With each question asked, it seems as if Chris was improvising the answer, actively trying to make the puzzle pieces fit together rather than telling the truth. The detectives ended their initial interview feeling more suspicious of Chris than ever. They then moved on to other members of the family, starting with Olivia's sister, Angela.
Olivia Jones is your sister, right? We've been talking a lot lately. We talk every day. I drop her baby to her at the tax office. She's always been timid about everything. But she was the type that whatever went on in their home, she would keep it there.
Yeah, she's kind of a private
person.
Yeah.
She loved her baby so much that she thought she had to live for them. She would never.
Angela went on to reveal the extent of Chris's control over Olivia.
She can't talk on the phone after a certain time. He controlled the finances. He never wanted to be in the presence of her family reunions, anything. He never came. But she would have to step off, and when he would call, and all you could hear was him screaming and yelling on the phone. His character is agitation. His character is to be aggressive. I just don't get it. Because all she wanted, my sister was a married type. All she wanted was to be loved.
Yeah.
She loved love. She loved her babies. She wanted to live for her babies.
To make matters worse, Chris's ex-wife Letitia, who he initially met back in 1999, corroborated his pattern of controlling and aggressive behavior.
I met Chris Jones in 1999. It was just like a constant fight. Like he strangled me, choked me out, drugged me through the house. My skin was missing off my back. One time he bit my hand. He had this bite marks in my hand. This was what it was. If the house not clean, he's told me that he would kill me if I was to ever leave him. Told me how he would do it. The reason I never said anything or went for help was because I was extremely in fear of my life. Because I knew and I felt in my heart that he would kill me.
And most damning of all were the allegations made by Olivia's daughter Ariel during her interview. She explained what it was like living at the house with her mom and Chris.
One time they were arguing and I heard her say she couldn't breathe. I would see bruises on her. It broke her down to the point where she believed what he said. Mm-hmm. You won't be nothing without me, stuff like that. Right. Everybody knows my mom. Everybody knows my mom. Everybody knows that we were her world.
With each person interviewed, the allegations against Chris were stacking higher and higher. They doubled back with him, urging him to tell the truth about what actually happened to the missing footage.
To be honest about the videos.
I look guilty. Not deleting those videos. I look guilty.
Not if you say right now, what you just said a while ago, I freaked out, I panicked, I did some stuff I shouldn't have done. Is that one of them?
Yes.
How many did you delete?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just afraid of being blamed for something I did do something that looks really bad on me.
While the confession was a much-needed win for the detectives, there was still no trace of those crucial 3 minutes of footage. However, the detectives did their due diligence. They spent the days combing through all available footage from the house to see for themselves what daily life was like for the Jones family. In these recordings, the true nature of Chris and Olivia's relationship was on full display.
Then you're gonna be looking stupid. Look on the floor. Look on the floor. Look on the floor, White. Look on the floor. Look on the floor. Look on the floor. Look on the... Why is that like that? You're not paying attention. Look at Liv.
Hey, Liv.
You wasn't worried about the son of a bitch a minute ago. That's your mother. No. Look at me like that, bitch. I'm not playing with you. Lazy. You want to do some shit, not enough? Give it here. You got all the goddamn answers. You don't do a goddamn thing around this. Right. This your ass, bitch. That's clean dish. That's clean.
I didn't want to, they fell on the floor, so I didn't want to reuse them.
You look at it. You don't pay attention to what the f*** you doing. You all over the place, Olivia. You ain't got the chance to claim no f***ing off. Food on the wall. Who you burning now?
Me.
Harriet don't live here. It's you. It's always been you.
Chris would take any chance that he could to bully Olivia, constantly putting her worth into question, even humiliating her in front of her own daughter.
When I got the show ass, you didn't have a job. You collected unemployment. You just had off. And most men in this world want a woman that got what? You wouldn't be doing this if I wouldn't have got upset. You would have bagged that. Life would be so much easier for me if you start thinking. You do dumb because you don't think.
This footage shed light on Chris's true colors and confirmed the allegations of abuse from Olivia's family. Detectives also looked into Chris's criminal records and discovered that he had a history of violent charges, including multiple assaults in 1996 and a domestic assault in 1998, which landed him in jail for a brief period of time. Even though they were still waiting for ongoing forensic analysis results, authorities believed that they had enough evidence to place charges against Chris.
News this morning, a Beaumont man is now facing murder charges in a Valentine's Day shooting of his wife. Police say this man, Christopher Ray Jones, who worked as a correctional counselor at the Beaumont Federal Prison, killed his wife, Olivia.
Chris was charged with first-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter in April of 2019. But unexpectedly, within 24 hours after being charged, he was released on a $150,000 bond and was put under house arrest with a GPS monitor.
Now a man charged with murdering his wife is back at their home.
40-year-old Christopher Ray Jones was arrested and charged with shooting his wife in the face on Valentine's Day. His bond was set at $150,000. He paid and is now out.
Many taking to social media to voice their concerns, stating things like, "Can't believe he's out on a $150,000 bond. That's crazy. What's wrong with our system?" And, "Can't believe they would make his bond so low that he got out. He should not be walking the streets."
While out on bail, Christopher was allowed to continue operating the Jones family business, a food truck called One Plate at a Time. The judge allowed Chris to work while out on bail since the food truck is directly beside his home. However, this decision was controversial amongst Olivia's family and the community. They knew Chris was the only person with Olivia at the time of her death, and they all seemed to believe that he had killed her.
This food truck on Concord Road in Beaumont is a hot topic on social media. It's not generating rave reviews from many, but from a grieving family.
I don't see how would anyone want to support someone who murdered their wife on Valentine's Day, which is a day that we are supposed to celebrate love. And the day that she was going to celebrate that with him, he decides to take her life.
Chris's image was tainted even further when the results from the crime lab came in. The bloodstain patterns at the crime scene indicated that the gunshot wound could not have happened in the way that Chris described it. Additionally, investigators found no gunshot residue on Olivia's hands, indicating that there was no way she was holding the gun when it went off. There was, however, gunshot residue on Chris's hands and clothing. Despite all of the evidence pointing towards Chris, he pled not guilty to his charges. But before his trial would take place, Olivia's family held a gathering to honor her memory.
This Valentine's Day,
Praying for you.
purple and red balloons filled Rogers Park.
Purple means domestic violence, and red was one of her favorite colors.
1 year ago today, Joshua Simmons lost his sister.
Valentine's Day was one of her favorite holidays.
I would give almost anything to have her back right now.
What's this year been like for you and your family?
If you can wrap it up in one word, it would be frustrating.
Frustrated with the fact that Jones isn't behind bars. Now the family wants to raise awareness for domestic violence, but more than anything, they want justice for Olivia.
We want him to spend the rest of his life in prison, while my sister spent the rest of her life in the grave.
After finally having an opportunity to celebrate Olivia's life, her loved ones would once again have to face her death during Chris's upcoming trial. The courtroom was packed with family members from both sides. It had been over 3 years since Olivia's death, and despite the clear tension between the two families, they all wanted the same thing: justice for Olivia. Prosecutors Jimmy Ham and Mike Laird described Chris as an abusive partner with a violent past, and it was only a matter of time before something like this happened. Chris's defense attorney, Ryan Gertz, argued that Chris only grabbed the gun because Olivia was recklessly handling the weapon, putting both herself and Chris in a dangerous predicament. Forensic pathologist Celestina Rossi provided critical bloodstain analysis and confirmed that Olivia did not have any gunshot residue on her, contradicting the defense's claims that her death was merely an accident. The testimonies and evidence combined ultimately overpowered the defense team, and on February 8, 2022, Christopher Ray Jones was found guilty for the murder of his wife, Olivia Jones.
1,118 days. That's how long Olivia Jones's family says they've waited for this moment. The moment when Olivia's husband, Christopher Jones, was found guilty of murder. Olivia died at the hands of her husband on Valentine's Day 2019, and instead of spending a lifetime behind bars,
we elected to agree with the state to a 30-year sentence because of the potential risk of, an even higher sentence.
In exchange, Christopher waived his right to appeal the conviction. After the judge handed down this sentence, Olivia and Christopher's 2 daughters took the stand. Looking directly at their father, they described the impact of Olivia's death. The youngest daughter, who was only 11 when her mother died, said, quote, "I'll forgive you one day, but right now I can't." Throughout the trial, the prosecution described a history of abuse that finally blew up. Defense attorney Ryan Getz argued a different version of events.
I think that We'll never know what happened in that room. Ultimately, my impression from the jurors is that they just didn't believe Chris's version of events, and that really only left the one alternative.